anybody standing in the way of what I dream for. How could you ignore the ones that are voiceless, scream from the poor? They only here to score. I do it for the underground kings that don't need more. I'm kicking down your door. If I wonder why you got a pocket full of green for, it's all about the get back. It's hard to give back while the politicians kick back. They say I'm only brick rap. Well, that's the foundation of this mountain that I live at. I can get you kidnapped. These kids ain't playing with you, acting like you live rap. And all those little mishaps that only happen to you misfits, I'm here to fix that, yeah.
Undaunted in the lower bracket, G2 Esports. In the top lane, Broken Slave. In the jungle, Yike. MVP Caps! Haiti carry Hansama! Support Mikyx! Their opponents, the unstoppable force of the upper bracket, Fnatic! In the top lane, Oscarinin! In the jungle, Razork! In the mid lane, Humanoid! AD carry, Noah! Their support, Jun! Supporting the team, their coaches, G2's, Dylan Falco and Rodrigo. Fnatic's, Nightshare and Gax. Their eyes set on the crown jewel of EMEA, the ultimate prize, the LEC Championship Trophy! Munich, give it up for your finalists! The time for talk is over. Today is about action. Who will walk away victorious? Who will show up when it matters most? Who will be your champion? The LEC Season Finals start now!
We are competitors. We want to be the best. Day by day, I'm reminding myself how it will feel to lift the LEC trophy in season finals at the end of the year.
The rage from G2 and Broken Blade. Now coming in, Yike gonna be in trouble. Miro trying to bring this one back. The ulti good. He goes golden, but it's just enough time to watch his team die before his eyes. G2 and Fnatic, as it was before, it is inevitable. G2 return to the finals.
I lost 3 finals already. I didn't win anything. But if you keep working on it, you're gonna win eventually. This is a matter of time.
When I went to Montpellier, it was the best day of my life. I wanted to win everything.
Now Broken Blade going in, finding the knockback onto 2. Yike, there to follow up.
You want to win, and it's the best.
They don't have vision on Oscar! Finds the stun onto Super and he's immediately forced out of the fight. Alvaro will fall first and the oil will follow suit. And once again, it's Oscar winning!
They have been in tough situations and they didn't make it. And we have been in tough situations and we made it.
G2 now responding. Hansama continuing to step up. Solar Flare down. Alvaro cut down. Arrow to follow. Connecting on Alyoya. The damage coming in.
It does give you that little thing in your head. We're gonna make it. They're not strong enough. And we are.
I would actually feel like all the 3 splits in Europe were actually wasted.
I think both teams look really bad. Honestly, I wasn't impressed, and I think tomorrow is going to be a free win.
Now we have the momentum after we won on stage. They will have to come prepared or they're just going to lose.
They are actually hungry to win, but I'm more hungry to win. So I'm gonna win.
And here we are once again for the season finals. It's always G2 Fnatic, it seems. I'm Medic, I'm joined by Vedi and by Dagda to lead you through what hopefully is 5 games of breakneck action.
I mean, the hype is here, the build-up is here, the fans came out in force for both G2 and Fnatic. And I mean, after the finals of summer, so many question marks were raised, and today both these teams are looking to answer those questions.
108 times we have seen these 2 teams face off against each other, but something feels different this time. There's something in the air. These teams have never looked more close, and as we get into draft, we're going to have to see exactly what their game plan is going to be. This is the first time since dropping to the lower bracket we have seen G2 on the red side, and immediately they are going with the vibe and the misfortune, which Noah has been performing fantastically on. My question is the Rel going to follow now for G2?
Definitely a possibility here. Obviously the Braum, Tristana and Ashe taken away by Fnatic. Things like the Ezreal immediately spring to mind. Mikyx, Sejuani, 2 junglers we have seen dominate the meta through season finals. But alongside that, even something like the Brand is a possibility.
Corki, also a very big pick for Humanoid, but he's happy to take the Leona into it. I think you take the Rel here, try and set yourself up nicely in that bottom side, because Noah has a bit more of a flexible champion pool when we see coming into season finals. Willing to take things like the Zyra, the Ezreal. He's got options when it comes to the later portion of the draft, but they want to take that Ezreal early.
The Ezreal is going to be the priority. You imagine that's going to go in the hands of Noah. When we think about him as a player, comfort is going to be key in high-pressure situations, is where this player has proven to fall short for Fnatic, and today he's looking to change that narrative. G2, though, they can grab the Corki for themselves. Caps had a monster performance on it yesterday.
These are 2 of the teams, though, that we've seen a bizarre number of Azir bans towards. So the Corki's going to be locked in. I'm curious if Humanoid wants to go back towards the Leona in response to it, or if he wants to go towards something like the Azir, which we've seen almost 100% presence, at least in the G2 side of things. So last pick here, imagine it's going to be the jungle, or do they just want to take that Rel away?
Will it be the Brand or will it be the Ivern? We've seen both options from Yike. The Zyra, consistently banned away from him yesterday, going to get his hands on it today. A strong AP option. Great for team fighting, but now Fnatic, how do they want to...
Oh, wrong button. That was the wrong golf button. It's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
The Smolder the flexibility that you have with the champion means that, of course, you can put it both top and mid, whether it be an answer into the Corki or a potential blind Cassante up towards the top side, and Leona going to be locked in for Jern.
I will say the Smolder yesterday for MDK didn't have the impact they wanted it to because of that Cassante coming out from Broken Blade in the top side, because of the ability for him just to run through their opposition. Kalista locked in for G2, likely going down to the bottom lane, although I have heard rumblings of Kalista top making its way back into the meta.
I do think we will see it in the bottom side though. Sam has already brought it out and it's looked great for him. It gives you a ton of aggression in that bottom side. Whether you get something like the Alistair here, you can still go for the Leona. Even Renata pick could work out really well here paired alongside that. And then you play for these early dragons using big ultimates like the Renata. You use that Zyra ultimate as well, and it gives a great early pressure to G2 when it comes towards their draft.
The Cassante ban makes sense. We know it's the strongest blind. Oscar is an excellent Cassante player. But now the support ban's likely going to come out from Fnatic. There's the Renata. Do they consider the Rel something a threat? Do they want it with the Braum already taken away? Perhaps a range support? I'm thinking about the best pairings that you can have with the Kalista. Maybe the Alistair is the one that they go with.
On the opposite side, will it be a Poppy ban? Because right now the Kalista definitely vulnerable to something along those lines. Not something that you probably want to blind pick, so that's probably why G2 are just going for the Renekton. But there is that Rel, so I wouldn't be fully surprised to see the Alistair come through decent into Leona, but could actually go for the Seraphine as well if they really want to try and go for that full push in that bottom side of the map.
Where will G2 decide to go? Looks like they're leaving top for last, most likely. Obviously, Zyra can also be flexed to that support role. Not something we've seen too often with how good she is in the jungle. Rakan locked in for Mikyx, had a stormer of a series on it yesterday. MDK couldn't deal with those snap engages where you ultimate from the backline, E onto someone, and then immediately come flash forward and get that quickness off. Sejuani now locked in for Fnatic. That's their jungler, and it looks like it's going to be a Kennen top.
But I like this adaptation for Fnatic. You look across at G2 and you're like, you have a ton of squishy characters and no one really to tank any of the CC that Fnatic can throw at them. A Leona, a Sejuani, now a Kennen on top of it. There is so much lockdown, and we've seen how good Oscarinin is at finding these flanks in season finals to set up for that Kennen to have a massive punch.
The Mundo, we've seen it before and we're going to see it again for Broken Blades. A great answer into many AP top options due to the lifesteal, his mitigation of so much burst that can come out from a Kennen. But I wonder how easily he's going to be able to run down AD carries that have that mobility, the arcane shift, the flat from humanoids. Often we see Mundo picked into things like Ashe, harder to kite, harder to create that space against him, but G2 needed a front line. They needed another form of tank. They decided that something like the Ornn wasn't worth the risk, so instead they go with the Mundo. I think overall I kind of prefer Fnatic's composition just because of how it functions, how it looks. It looks very straightforward, easy to execute, good scaling, good range, nice siege, great front lining. It just seems very well rounded, whereas I feel like the burden of execution falls on G2. How is this Kalista going to play into Kennen that's going to make his life miserable?
And even the rest of the comp as well. When you look, it's a lot of champions that want the enemy team to come in to you. And sure, you've got like Leona and Sejuani's, but they have very non-committal engage coming through from the ultimate from Sejuani, the solar flare. You have the opportunity to fish for great fights before you have to truly engage as Fnatic. So this has to be G2 getting off to an early lead, and it has been G2 that have struggled consistently to find success in the early game against Fnatic.
A year ago in Montpellier, Fnatic fell short. 3-1 to G2 back in 2019 in our closest finals in a long time. Fnatic fell short. It has been 2,138 days since Fnatic hoisted that LEC trophy, and G2 have continually stood in their way. We'll see today if the Fnatic faithful are finally rewarded here in Munich.
A lot on the line, and this is just the first game of hopefully many. We start the game slow. Both teams setting up a line of scrimmage. The roar of the G2 support is strong today.
It was pretty damn strong yesterday as well, Betty. Doesn't look like we're going to have any shenanigans early on. Was wondering perhaps if a lane swap would happen. Kennen will struggle into it a little bit. Obviously the Mundo a bit tankier, but Kennen does have that range.
Yeah, especially when you look at the opportunities for Fnatic. The problem is they don't really win push on bot. They don't really win push on mid. So technically they could go in for some sort of lane swap, but as you say, Oscarinin then struggles. So I think for G2, they're relatively happy to just go, hey, we can get push mid, we can get push bot, and with Yike starting on this top side, there's an opportunity for them to even maybe look for some sort of invade onto this bottom half of the map as well.
Control over the forward brush coming out from Fnatic. They know that they can get this early prio just because Rakan can't really offer a huge amount, especially once Fnatic gets that level 2. A lot of kill threat. Jun starting with the Q, just controlling that brush, making things a little bit awkward for Hans. We talked about that early priority. Oscar into the Mundo. I imagine that's relatively even on the top side of the mid lane. Also should be relatively even at the very early stages with that Kennen going to continue to harass the Mundo. Things are going to progressively get worse for Broken Blade until he's able to get a bit of itemization under his belt. And in the mid lane, it's just 80 carries back and forth. Early level 2 for Humanoid, not going to mean a huge amount.
It's just going to sneeze all over Caps to do a little bit of damage, try and get those stacks up. You can see those stacks just under Humanoid's name on his portrait, currently sitting at 6. 225 is the magic number to start to get that execute and the burn. Both the junglers pathing from the top side to the bot side. Yike was seen on the ward by his Razorbeaks, so Fnatic have full information, or at least can assume exactly where Yike is right now.
Yeah, and I mean, look, at that stage, that's all you really want is Razork. As long as you're not getting under any sort of pressure from the Zyra in the early stages, you're relatively happy. So he should be able to finish out his jungle clear. I imagine he'll look for the quick reset after Krugs and try and move up towards that top half of the map. He already has, well, great trades from Humanoid on towards Caps in the mid lane, and you've got push for Oscarinin up there as well, so he should be able to secure that Scuttle Crab for himself.
We have seen Caps struggling a little bit in lane over this last few weeks in Season Finals. Yesterday, dying 1v1 against Fnatic on that Ezreal. Looks like Yike is actually going to look towards a lane gank here. Has avoided vision so far, but now spotted by Fnatic. He'll path his way across towards the Scuttle Crab. Obviously, Zyra's first clear, slightly quicker, and all subsequent quick clears as well, slightly quicker than the Sejuani will manage to be.
Yeah, you can see though, this Sejuani, Razork already knows that's going to be the case. He's moving back up towards his top side. Oscarinin doing a ton of work. So solo lanes for Fnatic right now are going great. And for G2, I think Yike needs to try and find some way to disrupt that. Otherwise, Fnatic just get to scale, get to play for that later portion of the game where they can go for those big team fights.
Naturally, we expect a slower start, game 1 of a series. Fnatic need to get familiar with the stage, the environment, the heat. It's warm today. And G2, while they are, of course, comfortable having gotten to play yesterday, getting to reassess the vibe, Fnatic coming in with a different air to them compared to what we saw from Mad Lions. And this early game, as teams start to get settled, assess where their first game plans are. TP's invested as lane is returned. We're looking at those early objectives. Dragons, 50 seconds. Grubs, about 2 minutes. Are we going to see any early swaps? Early back comes out. G2 should be able to push this underneath the tower.
And we have seen a lot of these teams drift away from the Void Group party over towards that first Dragon. That's certainly been what G2 have gone for, but Razork has kind of tended more still towards those Void Groups in the top half of the map. So I'd be curious to see how they want to try and push this one forward, because when you've got strong lanes like Oscarinin that can really take advantage of those Void Group buffs, it could work out very well in their favor.
Broken Blade doesn't have vision here. Oscarinin gonna lightning rush forward, flash forward as well, looking for that stun. Reeve still has the flash, but I don't think he has a chance of living. Oscar on the board for first blood in Munich.
And the crowd goes wild. Razork picking up that first blood immediately for Oscarinin. This is one of the biggest threats on Fnatic, and he's off to a great start.
Nice gank from Razork, easy and clean as the wave is bouncing back. They set it up, and Broken Blade knows that it's not even worth the flash. Now the swap has come through from G2. They want to try and get Mundo out.
Hansama flashes to be a taxi for Mikyx, and Hansama immediately answers.
Great adaptation from G2. What we saw in the last series these played off against each other was a ton of pressure towards Broken Blade in that top side. Fnatic start off well with that play, but G2 now rotating for those Void Grubs, get another pick back.
But Fnatic, they immediately set their sights on the bottom lane. Broken Blade is an easy dive target, and they want to answer back.
There's the risk of that flash though, Ben. He didn't burn it in the top lane play.
He's so close to 6 though.
He's
if he can get a couple of minions.
Needs a couple for the maximum dosage, now unlocks it. Fnatic yet to tank the tower, Jung will go in, Razork there as well, there's Zenith Blade back in the flash away from Broken Blade. Ignite not enough to take him through the maximum dosage. Noah puts a bit more damage into his back, Caps has come across, but now Oscarinin on the flank as well, looking for that stun. He'll catch Caps, flash, shield of Daybreak, the Zenith follows the Valkyrie away. He's locked in an icy grave.
And Fnatic Fnatic get their answer. Caps trying to help his top laner, ends up giving away a kill. He loses the flash, he loses his life, and while Broken Blade walks away safely, Fnatic walk away with the advantage they were looking for.
And Oscarinin is off to such a brilliant lead now. 800 gold lead for that top laner for Fnatic, but you do have to drop your eyes down to that AD carry role as well, because while all this shenanigans were going down on the bottom side, Sam was just free firing on the top end, and Broken Blade plays this exceptionally well. He knows he's so close to 6, gets that E through the minions to finish off a bunch of them to get that maximum dosage, able to survive for so long thanks to the W as well. But as Vedi already said, Caps thought he was here to help, thought he'd be some sort of aid to Broken Blade, but instead ends up just falling. That's the amount of CC that this crew has is absolutely obnoxious.
I mean, he wasn't expecting Oscar to be right behind him. I mean, the good news for G2 is they're able to get a bunch of plates on the top side of the map. They did end up securing 2. They also secured the grubs. They now swap back to the bot side of the map. The Zerka's Greed's already picked up a Hansama. He just ticks over to level 6. And G2 can now set their sights on the Dragon and look for ultimate early game objective control.
Gold only about 200 difference between these two teams, and it is the difference between Oscar and Hansama across the map that we'll be looking at. Razork's up towards the top side. Yike waiting around the corner, hasn't been seen yet. He's sneaky, trying to come in here to dissuade the gang. Oscar goes in with a slicing mouse, but Hansama's able to walk away from the side of it. Fate's call will pull Mikyx out, and he dives back in. They smell blood in the water, and Oscar's got a lot of spears in his behind. Hansama takes the kill.
Beautiful dive from G2. The Guardian proc to keep Mikyx as healthy as he needs to be. The reset on the dive with the Kalista ult. It's magnificently clean, and Fnatic just don't have an answer on the opposite side of the map.
A point of criticism at various points throughout the year.
No way.
To interrupt the backs, I feel. And he's not going to connect. The bot lane of G2 has been stepping up massively. Mikyx's Rakan yesterday was phenomenal, and Hansama throughout season finals really has been the quiet star of the team. Mr. Consistent. Now that he's on Kalista, an old favorite of his, a champion where he could build that lead independently, he's the one finding the early game advantages for G2.
And even a lot of those tools that we've seen Hansama thrive on in season finals were taken away. The Misfortune, the Ashe, but going back to the Kalista and still having an incredible early game now. He is set up to be that carry, but you still have to watch out for Oscarinin. And maybe Jun has to watch out for G2 here.
An AD carry is often nothing without their support. I want to give credit to Mikyx over these last couple of days on the Rakan. Has kind of stepped back into the position where you can consider him one of the best, if not the best, Rakans in the LEC. Yike's able to get the Scuttle Crab here, the Drake up, a minute and a half on those next grubs. G2 got the first 3, Noah dashes away with an arcane shift, and Mikyx dashes back, battle dancing his way to safety.
There's no real push in the map for G2 though, so Fnatic kind of free to do this. You can see the waves only now connecting in the mid lane, and Caps will walk back, but may have to be careful as that Goon Squad is making their way towards the mid lane as well now.
Hansama utilizing the minions to keep this constant slow onto Noah so that he can keep weaving in these auto attacks. Great Kalista mechanics there to get an edge out in the 1v1. This will convert into pressure onto Dragon as the rest of Fnatic are resetting, and that's 3 grubs, early Dragon, gold lead, all going the way of G2. And when we think back to G2's strong early games, it was through their bot lane. That was how they found success last year.
Yeah.
But now they have the added threat of that mid-game macro that they've been spending the entire year working on. Fnatic, definitely not down and out just yet. This is a minor advantage that G2 have been able to build for themselves, but thinking back to the last finals where these two met each other, it was the early game where Fnatic found those advantages, but here in game 1, they haven't found many yet.
And G2 are only going to continue to build this push on bot. I was about to say with the resets, means that they should have been able to reset and move up towards that potential void growth. But Caps!
Jump in the mid lane, Mom is here! And Caps can't deal with that. Humanoid gets his first of the finals.
I mean, when it comes to Fnatic, Razork is the player you always have to look at. The heart, the playmaker of the team, finds that play on the Caps and gives them the kill lead.
The best jungler in the LEC, putting down the best mid laner in the LEC. And if Humanoid now can start to get control on this Corki, on this Smolder, it can be so devastating in taking over this game. But G2, they still get their reset, they move up towards this top side, and it will be the 6 growth buff that G2 will be able to pick up.
6 grubs and a Chem Drake. Next Drake up in 4 minutes time. It will be an Infernal. Caps might be ganked again in the mid lane, though does still have the flash. Razork on his way. No Glacial Prison, but they can chase him down. Knocks him up, he'll Valk. The Permafrost will chase and he'll flash as well. To the relative safety of Yike coming into that bush. Fog of War on Caps' side.
I mean, Fnatic have been able to find a lot of pressure onto Caps. And to try and get this Smolder accelerated, that's great. Great plan. Problem is you're conceding a lot of objectives. All 6 scrubs are gone, the Dragon is gone. Plate's going in the favor of G2 as well. It's a scary situation in terms of the early game for Fnatic.
But credit to Razork, he has been in the right position to constantly punish Caps, even down towards that bottom side with Oscar coming in for the flank. Razork has had a stellar season final so far, as you said, Dagda, probably the best jungler we have in the LEC right now.
And it's because of those moments where he understands, look, I don't have to be positioned around my team at every point in time, but when he is near, you always have to be scared because he is so good at finding these moments to interrupt your plays, get a kill, burn a flash now on Caps, and especially when you look at a next Dragon fight in 2.5 minutes time, that's when you will see that punishment of Caps not having the flash available. And Razork has been clinical when it comes towards landing these Sejuani ults over the course of this year.
Vision control now, the name of the game between the two teams. Jun steps in and that bush, in there be monsters. The flash, not enough to get away from the quickness. The solar flare though will hit Yike, and Jun might still escape to survive another day. He can't. A rend through his heart puts him in the dirt.
And just barely whiffing on that lockdown from Yike means that Noah is able to escape as well, but Jun just wanted to get some vision, but didn't realize it was G2 in that brush.
A nice pick, and Jun, he did everything correctly. Utilized the Leona W to tank up as much as he could, then procs his rune passive afterwards to give even more durability, but even that just wasn't enough. Hans Sama now 3-0-0 on the board.
I mean, nearly the Blade of the Rune King finish surely will be now when he goes back to base. There it is, and you get to move back out onto the map, and as Noah, you have to be so scared of Hans Sama. He's a monster now when you come to these mid lane battles over the wave, especially if Mikyx can use him as that taxi service in with the ultimate. Noah can get picked off very easy, maybe even Jun here as well.
It's always the threat of Rakan. Obviously, when he was released, he was giga broken and you could just ultimate and immediately flash. But now what you do is you ult behind your team, you E onto a tank on the front line, then you can just flash W and lock anyone up. It means even the escapability of the flap of the Arcane Shift can be mitigated by a well-played, out-of-vision Rakan, and Mickey showed us that yesterday. We'll see if he can continue to do it today. For Fnatic, a lot of the impetus in teamfights is around finding flanking positions for Oscarinin. If he can find that flank, he is massive. 1.3k ahead in that top lane.
And that's why you can see Fnatic at the moment are just fishing for these spells, because they're like, look, if we can get this exhaust burnt on towards Mickey, that unlocks Oscarinin when we come to these later fights. 35 seconds on towards the Dragon. They were saying maybe we could get an exhaust, maybe we can then set up for that fight, but G2 able to avoid the engage. They're going to get the Rift Herald, and maybe Fnatic can actually sneak their way into this bottom side and try and get the cross-map objective.
Objective control is the name of the game for G2 though. What they've demonstrated in the season finals is really how to use pressure to gain advantages on the map. Calm, calculated play, cross-mapping any proactivity that we see from Fnatic. But remember that Fnatic is playing more towards the scaling. They know that they have great team fighting, and they've showed us multiple times in season finals, even from a deficit, they know how to fight. So as long as they can find those angles, they're definitely still in this game.
Definitely think the team with the Smolder is playing to scaling. He's a dragon after all. If only they had Renekton alongside him. We see the Drake begun, or the positioning around it begun by Fnatic. G2 invested most of their vision off towards the top side, and now Fnatic have a pocket here. G2 will step in. There's darkness in those corners. Noah shows. Mickey sneezed on. Mom joins the battle for a moment, but Mickey can always dash back out. Oscarinin will spot that ward being placed.
They're separating G2 though. You can see the Hans Sama's on mid, actually going on towards Noah as well. But if Noah is able to join in with Fnatic, it makes it very difficult for Hans to be part of this fight. So the TP invested now by BB to force Fnatic back and give that Kalista an option to get into mid lane.
I mean, does Razork just have to jump back into the back of the pit? Instead, he has to flash. Stranglethorn's coming down, and G2 will thank Fnatic for that leash. Hans Sama off towards the top side, being chased down by Humanoid, but they can't really find much more. Oscarinin down in that bottom lane with the Rift Herald coming in as well. He needs to get the hell out of here. because if he stays around for much longer, I'm afraid he might be next on the menu. The Rift Herald avoids the turret. Oscar flashes away, but here's the charge. FNC you later, Oscar, as he's taken out by G2.
G2 are a rampaging bull. They said, screw the China, we're going for the rat in the back instead. And they lock down Oscarinin. They get the tower, another charge, and G2, they may not be stopped.
I mean, the pushes are just so accelerated. You have the 6 grubs as well. More bites come out, mites come out of the Rift Herald when you go for that. Almost getting the tier 2, already secured the tier 1, and a 2,000 gold lead now extended for G2.
The control is just slipping away from Fnatic. Every objective is falling over to G2. They're hesitant to fight. They know how hard they spike Razork.
Called out once again, charmed with the quickness, pulls him back. Jun here, he's charmed as well. Razork able to get away with the Glacial Prism being used. Razork on about 100 HP. But here's Oscar! Here's Oscar! And there go G2 sent to their graves by the Electric Rats.
G2 thought they had the moment. There was no damage. Noah was in the bot lane, but they wait too long. They can't kill Razork, and Fnatic rally around the jungler to save the play.
A fantastic TP from Oscar as he finds the angle. Razork buys so much time. He is one of the champions that can face check. His durability proving worthwhile. Fnatic fans feeling the tension as we look back at this face check.
And Razork is like, hey, there's no way they'd be stuck around. They needed to back, but they just can't kill him. They just don't quite have the damage, especially with caps being 0-2. But now, the rest of Fnatic show up. They've got that extra damage. Oscarinin is able to set it up. Hansama was in that mid lane, though, managed to get the mid lane tower off the back of it. But it is much needed gold in the hands of Fnatic.
Much needed play as well for Fnatic, as control felt like it was slipping away. To get a play like that has to do massive wonders for your confidence. Broken Blade now the target.
Has the flash, no wave there for Fnatic to play around, so should be able to walk away with Yike coming to bolster the defense of that tier 1 in the bottom lane. The gold now only 1,000 between these two teams. It's a minute and a half on the Baron and 2.5 before we see our third Drake of this match.
This is where Fnatic can get quite aggressive on the map, though, because they know that Exhaust is down for Mikyx. They can actually start to play relatively forward. The only downside is that big gold lead on Hansama. 2 items now completed on this Kalista. He controls that mid lane, and through that controls where Fnatic can move on the map. So they need to find some way to break Hansama in the mid lane.
The gold lead for Hansama is extending, even if the gold lead between the two teams has shrunk a little bit. 2,500 gold ahead. Blade, Ginsu's complete a true shot barrage down towards the bottom side to try and cull a little bit of that wave, but doesn't really do its job, only gets a couple of them. Broken Blade with the demolish will take it 700 gold into his back pocket, and now he leads the Kennen in gold picked up this game.
Warmog secured, gives him so much durability. Of course, you could argue still a bit squishy just because of its limited resistances, but I think you'd be surprised as to how much this Mundo will be able to tank up. With the dragon spawning in a minute and 20 seconds, you look at the vision at the bottom of your screen. Oscar and the TP.
Slice and Maelstrom coming out, no exhaust here, of course, because Mikyx on the top side and doesn't even have it. Broken Blade with a maximum dosage and a flash still in hand to try and get away. The Glacial Prison finds its mark, and I'm not sure Broken Blade survives this. He flashes, and of course he does, of course he damn does! Who am I to doubt the machinations of the Broken Blade?
He dupes everyone! They wanted to give the kill to Humanoid, but what's a baby dragon to a business mogul like Broken Blade?
And that's a flash and a TP committed from Humanoid. G2 have used that time to gain full vision control over the top side of the map. Dragon is spawning in 30 seconds, and I mean, observers, if you can show us what Fnatic can see right now, it is just darkness across the board. G2 have been trying to suffocate this vision. Specks of information scattered across the map. But Fnatic, while they're relying on their scaling and big spikes are now being hit for Humanoid and Noah, they're going to need to find that big fight to turn this game in their favor.
But that felt like their attempt. They don't have Oscarinin's ultimate now available for this dragon, so a third Drake should go to G2. Fnatic just trying to set up vision somewhere, maybe make a pick onto Caps in his top side as Oscarinin takes a dangerous route and loses half his health bar for it.
didn't even seem that dangerous. Why is Hansama there? Like, I don't blame Oscarinin for walking into that portion of the map. Caps and Mikyx trying to defend the top tier 1. It's Fnatic are trying to make that cross-map play that we so often talk about when you are behind, but with Caps here to clear out the wave and Mikyx able to jump away, the TP at the last moment means there's still a minion there. Mom called, Oscar goes in, Broken Blade's gonna TP as well, but Fnatic have already got 2 out of this play, and BB has no flash anymore! You may not stop for death, BB, but Fnatic will make him stop for you!
A huge tower dive for Fnatic, gets 3 kills, and they're looking to get the Baron. That play, that is what they needed. Off the back of Fnatic's initiation, Razork, Jun, they're able to make it happen.
6 Void Grubs still though for G2. They're taking a tower, but there's so much standing gold.
Oscar went to 6 HP off that, by the way.
Calculated.
Yeah, 100% planned. For Fnatic now, it's all about the next 3 minutes. How much can you get out of this Baron power play? Already take the tower in the top lane, but you're still only 200 gold ahead. We've seen what Kalista and Corki can do if you have the 6 grubs. But what a decision this was to TP at the last possible moment.
And really well orchestrated. They knew that they had already committed members to that dragon on the bottom side, so just number advantage here. Even the Ezreal ult being able to come in over the top adds that little bit more. But the tower juggling was sublime from Fnatic there. Nobody goes down, and there's cheers galore for Fnatic.
Razork just catching Caps off guard. A 0-4 Corki performance from him, as Humanoid is now so strong on this Smolder. He's reached that threshold. He has a 2.5k gold lead over Caps, and Hansama, as threatening as he is, we talked about how difficult this Kennen is going to make his life. Oscar has proven time and time again that he's able to find these angles on this champion, and he's looking to find it once more.
So Broken Blade is just down towards the bottom side of this river, but Caps is just going to recall. Okay, he'll get out, not looking for his 5th death this game. Has only been involved in 1 of G2's kills so far. They do only have 4. And you can see Humanoid has got a 2,500 gold lead in the mid lane now.
But Fnatic are playing this really cleverly. They're not going for these big team fights where you can actually leverage Hansama. They're trying to find these quick picks where they can leverage the advantages that they have in those side lanes. And now it's G2 who need to try and come and match them in the side lane. Not many members here though. So G2 could end up picking Fnatic if they're not careful.
So G2 do know that Oscar doesn't have TP, and he's currently pushing in the mid lane, meaning that they'll send Hansama there to answer that pressure. With the Baron buff, Hansama takes a little bit longer to clear out the minions, but still does it lickety-split. And with that wave cleared out, Hansama can then move, shift up towards this top side and apply a bit more pressure. The problem is, will Oscar then be able to find the flank? Because we see Humanoid taking about 1/3 of his HP. Broken Blade does the same, but of course he's got a bit more HP to spare. Hansama able to escape the clutches of Oscarinin, who's walked back towards that mid lane. His TP up in about 30 seconds time.
The poke is relentless from Fnatic. Noah and Humanoid chipping away the HP bars, and while Broken Blade will walk that damage off, the same can't be said for Yike. Doing his best to wave clear, connects onto Caps once more. And here comes Mom, trying to force G2 back, but they'll hold strong. Again, great poke from Noah.
They need to make something happen here. 20 seconds left on that Baron buff. There's not a huge amount of turrets taken to help out Fnatic off the back of that. So G2 get to hold on to all their outer turrets. Hansama defends mid, and they just barely manage to push Fnatic off the top lane.
Well, the Doomsday clock ticks over to 2 minutes for both these teams. That's when the Cloud Drake Soul will be available. Oscarinin on a ward here now spots it. For Fnatic, you have to feel that's where you got to make your next stand. Glacial Prism flashed by BB. Fnatic have just been chucking out abilities, seeing if they can get G2 to use those summoners, to use those health bars. And now, because of it, they gain control of the river.
And that's why I think non-committal engage is so strong in this meta. Just being able to throw a spell out that has a relatively short cooldown, fish for a summoner spell, fish for a pick, but never put yourselves in harm's way. Particularly with the amount of damage in the game right now, these tools are so good for finding those little advantages in upcoming fights.
And I mean, maybe silently, maybe loudly, but Razork has been so crucial in finding so many of these plays. 0-0-8, 100 kill participation here in game 1. The heart of Fnatic. He wants his first trophy, and to get it against G2 would be so sweet for him. Of course, here we are, game 1, a very tense moment. The gold is very similar. The gold distribution at the bottom of your screen is very clear. Can Oscar find the angle? Will Humanoid and Noah be it any real threat against things like the Mundo. Humanoid now level 16 on the Smolder, 3 items completed. The scaling that we've been talking about has been reached for Fnatic, and now it's all going to come down to a big fight.
They'll play for the mid lane wave. It's still a while away for them. Plants come out, and a little bit of Dragon Breath puts them in their place. Jun can try and need a bit of poke. I'm not sure if he's over the threshold for the Warmog, because he doesn't have an extra Ruby Crystal, but he might have got it just from overgrowth in this game. We'll see if he heals back up through the poke that he has to endure. Caps putting some damage down. Oscar looking for the flank position. Out of vision. It's a great flank if he can find it. Can Mikyx mark him? Razork goes in. Flashes double knockup. Unsummoned now dashing forward as well. Oscarinin is late to the party. And he's immediately exhausted and knocked up with a base call. Unsummoned still surviving. Do Fnatic have more in the tank? Can they find a way to crack Unsummoned? The answer is yes! Humanoid takes him out in the Dragon Pit, and now a 3v4. In favor of Fnatic. They'll take the Drake, they'll stop the Soul. Can they find more?
Humanoid called on his Dragon brethren there to help him take down Hansama in the pit. And now Yike wants to see if he can get that poke on towards Jun. The slow is there.
Humanoid not hit with the Rylai's. I don't think he's able to flap his way away. Caps and Yike still look for that midway, but Noah pretty healthy. Has that red buffs to help tick him up as well. Broken Blade now finding Jun and Humanoid, forcing them down across the map. Oscar has the push in bot, and BB will go to answer.
Incredibly tense fights. The biggest questions coming into this fight was going to be, how will Kennen fare against Hansama, and how safe is Humanoid and Noah in the fight? Well, Humanoid and Noah were very safe. They had so much space to play with. They had the support from Razork on the front line with Jun right there as well. Oscar comes in on the right side, and a great initiation from Razork. Yike immediately forced a flash, but then the front line disappears. But look at how much control and space Oscar buys, immediately spinning G2 up. Humanoid oversteps there, forcing him to flash very early, but the damage was done onto Hans as he gets executed by Humanoid.
And if it's Mikyx trying to be that counter-engage tool, there's very little then to get onto the carries of Fnatic after that play. You can see them using the Kalista ult to try and get breathing room from Oscarinin, but it meant Humanoid had control. Noah could play aggressive, and G2 crumble as a result.
Humanoid at 337 stacks now, level 16, almost ticking over to 17, 6,000 damage in that last fight. And the battle that rages between Caps and Humanoid across the years of the LEC. Caps always seen as that top dog. Now Humanoid trying to displace him on the throne here. Bot wave pushed in, Humanoid's going to answer that. G2 can use that time to gain control of the river, but they only have one control ward and only one sweeper up as well.
Note that Oscar's flash is going to be up just a little bit beforehand. Summers. Exhaust unavailable currently for Mikyx, but you imagine the next fight he'll have that available. No flash available for Humanoid as well, could be crucial. But these summoner spells, when you get into these late game fights, are just so valuable. Cap's now finally ticking over to level 16. But I feel like the G2's composition, even with all the leads that they've built, a few mistakes here and there, they lost control over the map. The Baron was crucial for Fnatic, and now the scaling has really come into its own for Fnatic.
And Hansama is just starting to fall off. He just cannot get access in these fights with how many beefy members are on Fnatic, how much control Oscarinin offers in those team fights. And with a Rabadon's death cap now completed on the Kennen as well, they need to get creative here as G2, but Fnatic playing this slow. They're just playing around their vision, not giving them the moment to try and look for a pick.
They were looking for the route over the wall into the grand entrance from Mikyx. A phosphorus bomb from Caps may have sentenced one of the Fnatic players to a 40-minute great-scale excursion.
Fnatic are on timer here though. Oh,
Jun caught out, goes in with his Zenith Blade, but is unable to get the stun onto Caps, and Jun is just dead. Glacial Prison going wide, and now G2 can look to open up. BB has a TP, and he's about to go back to base. The TP comes in, Mikyx still looking for the chase. Humanoid caught out, manages to survive for a second, but in the end he's down. Oscar with the slicing Maelstrom does nothing.
G2 seem to always find a way in these crucial moments to fight back against Fnatic. Fnatic thought they had a chance with Broken Blade on bot side, but in the 4v5, it's Jun that gets picked.
A single overstep is all it takes. Fnatic, with the momentum at their backs, find themselves lost, pushing in the mid wave, trying to set up for the Baron. Jun mispositions, he overcommits, he gets collapsed on, and while the ulti from Oscar was still great, it was not enough as G2 find the Baron.
And Jun just ends up getting caught by Mikyx here. Great engage, he goes forward onto Caps, but he is not tanky enough to survive Sama and Caps. Even Razork with the panic ultimate. And G2, they smell the blood in the water. Immediately TPing in, looking to go all out, find that moment to bring this game back in their favor. And now a Baron in tow. It's the base that they'll be looking to crack of Fnatic.
These games are always a game of inches on a knife edge at any moment, but so often it's G2 that come out on top. Fnatic here now have to fight around the Cloud Soul as well. 20 seconds before that Drake does spawn in. The Baron buff on Caps pushing out the top lane.
G2 doing their due diligence this time though. Ward clearing on point. There is nowhere for Oscarinin to go apart from potentially that wave on the bottom side of the map. G2 will have to try and deal with that as it starts to push in as well, but Fnatic at the moment at least have control of River. But you still have that 6 Void Grub buff, and a second Cloud Dragon to Fnatic is not something G2 are that concerned about.
All they have to do is just poke their heads in, prod around, see if you can keep Fnatic around a little bit longer, because already you've lost a tier 2 in the top lane, and you might be about to lose your inhibitor tower as well. The Glacial Prison goes down, the Drake secured for Fnatic, but they're about to lose an inhib as Caps continues to push in. G2 on the chase, looking to stop Fnatic from getting those bases off. Oscarinin might be able to get back to the fountain in time before Yike can find him in the bush. He will. There's still an inhibitor forfeit for just the Drake from Fnatic.
I think it's a smart call from G2. You have to respect that Fnatic's team fighting is still very strong. In that situation, you're able to find a pick. You started the fight by removing one of the frontliners and then snowballing off the back of that. Here, Fnatic already has position on the Dragon. You would be trying to enter that space with Oscar having flash ready, poised and looking for that play. So instead they say, you know what, we'll just take the inhibitor. We don't need the Cloud Soul right now. We create this extra point of pressure and we make it harder for Fnatic to play the 5v5.
We are getting to a point though where we're getting to 6 items across the board. See, Humanoid nearly hitting that crucial mark is already well past his point of no return when it comes to the stacks. So for G2, a full-on team fight is not as clear-cut as an easy win, so playing off on the map makes a lot of sense here as Mikyx step forward against Razork.
Get the knock-up. Tangle Wolf's not going to connect in the mid lane! I think no earnest. Oscar just killed Caps! They just put him in the dirt, and now Broken Blade next on the menu. True Shot Barrage coming out, hits on some of the Solar Flare, has to be flashed away from, and Broken Blade abandoned by his team. The chase continues. Oscar looking at that flank position, has the blast cone, and Noah will take it. Oscar goes in with a lightning rush. Kennen, Summer, Mikyx, and Yike survive this. Broken Blade there as well. G2 realize they immediately have to dive back in, but Mikyx doesn't have the backup, and with the Zenith blade through his back, Fnatic! Is this it? Is this the oasis they have waited 6 years for? One game on the horizon, perhaps 2 more to come.
They find G2 overextended. Caps falls, Fnatic rise, they take down G2 and they will start to push towards their base.
So many times we've seen Oscar make these game-saving plays on Kennen, and it wasn't flashy, it wasn't crazy, he just caught Caps in mid. That single pick has swung the game once again, and in game 1 of this best of 5, Fnatic and G2 are going all out, back and forth, neck and neck.
A man who couldn't sit on this stage this time last year now finds the moment, has the hands to take down Caps, and beautifully sets up Fnatic to pick off G2.
And G2, they brazenly think that they can still pressure this tower. Broken Blade steps too far up, the True Shot Barrage connects onto Summer, and they're immediately forced to retreat. They decide to take the fight too late. You'll notice this flash response from Humanoid as G2 say, fine, we take the fight. They're taking too long. Nice response. Able to disengage, and now G2, I mean, they're just fish in a barrel as Fnatic claim their prize.
There's just no escaping this Fnatic when they get rolling. There is so much damage, so much engage. And how many times are we going to see this game go back and forth? If this is what this series is like, I am here for it.
15,000 damage for Humanoid. The Saiyans would be proud with a number like that. And it's only going to get harder for G2. Look at the pressure. G2 setting up around the Baron. Still 1 minute away The vision is close. A single team fight is all it takes. But this Smolder is looking to do some serious damage in the fights.
Put it in my veins. Just pump it in. G2 Fnatic delivering once again here in Munich. And G2, they still have ways to win this game. It's still on a knife edge. It's still only 1.5k between the two teams. You can see the damage that Caps can do if he's actually alive to be in a fight. Oscarinin forced back. Baron up in 30 seconds. Cloud in 50. It will be third for Fnatic. It would be Soul once again for G2.
And I think that's where G2 are going to try and split up on the map. They've already invested a ton of vision, which is now being cleared out by Fnatic on this top side, but you only need one person to go towards that dragon. Could be Hansama, could be Caps. They have an opportunity to try and open up against Fnatic and just deny them access to everything that's spawning at the same time.
They're looking to rush this. The Baron will spawn, it's spotted out, but here they go. The deciding moment in game one.
How do you beat Ren Smite where you've got to fight beforehand, I think. Razork trying to get in the pit, Mikyx there to act as a bouncer. It's secured by Hansama. Mikyx low with the base call. Oscar takes him out. Oscar still looking for that flank position. No flash for him, but BB's down as well. Fnatic still have 5 alive, and G2 do not have that same luxury. The GA buys Hansama a second, but this Angel, it can only bring you back once. Oscar goes in with a slicing mash from Caps, has to flash away. Yike now looking for that flank position, looking for the
Just buying time. He's buying time, man.
He's buying as much time as he can, because Fnatic, they did it against MDK. They'll look to go through the front door once again. The true shot barrage goes wide with the Wolves aggro. Back onto Caps, he's back.
The Baron buff resets means that they're able to come back in. It's 4 versus 2. Yike and Caps versus all of Fnatic.
A final stand, it seems. Come claim the Nexus if you can take it.
Mikyx just respawned though. That's the exhaust. G2 can force them back. There's TP wards if they can get Caps out.
TP to the bot lane.
That's a TP.
Caps is looking for the flank. Jun healing up with the Warmox. Razork doing the same. Broken Blade has TP in 5. The Cloud alive. The Drake perhaps the target for Fnatic. Do they know that Caps is here? Broken Blade now TPs to the bot lane. Fnatic have to try and defend with only 4 alive. G2 begin to collapse. Yike a long way away though. Jun caught by Mikyx. Broken Blade looking for that flank, can't find it. Jun falling low, the solar flare dodged. Only the slow connects. Jun continues to walk away. Razork trying to do the same. Oscar up in 5 seconds. Holy Smolder! Humanoid steps a little bit too far forward. And he's immediately put 6 feet under by G2. Now the rest of Fnatic need to try and get away from this. Oscar in here as well. Broken Blade can tank for days, and G2, it's a 4v4 for the next 30 seconds or so.
It's a 45-second death timer on Humanoid. G2 have a meager wave in mids, but I don't know if this is going to be enough. As the flank comes through, observers show us what G2 see, and they will spot Oscar. He knows he's been spotted, but will that stop him? He has the flash available. G2 have to respect it.
Yike, too low to cover. You need to try and get into position to cover Oscarinin. He's going to get spotted on the way out as well, but Fnatic, they're too late. G2, they've already disappeared.
It's game one with 39 minutes in, and Fnatic versus G2 is delivering a tense, close back and forth. We thought 2 fights ago that would be the fight, but maybe this is it.
Jun going forward, Broken Blade flashes away from the solar flare. Mikyx here to join the party, TP in by Fnatic. They'll look for more. Jun continues to advance. BB no flash, the slicing mash from exhausted, and Oscarinin is the first to fall in the battle. Broken Blade healing up with a maximum dosage. Lands a cleaver onto Noah. They'll continue to chase in. Mikyx has the quickness, has the flash. Can he get down with it? That's the question now.
There's so much poke from Fnatic though as they retreat. Hasn't been able to land though. G2 have been able to avoid a lot of these mystic shots from Noah. But G2, they're gaining ground. They're gaining position on the map.
But there's really no objectives for them to play for. Look at the side lanes. There isn't anything really for G2 outside of running down mid, taking away some of these camps. It was a bold play from Oscar. His flash is gone. The exhaust in exchange. He tried to catch out Caps, but he couldn't quite lock him down. And the gold graph is like the heart rate of the fans in the arena today as things continue to go back and forth in game one.
They spotted Yike low on that bot wave. They thought maybe that was the moment in a 4 versus 5 that they could find the pick, but the exhaust from Mikyx was crucial. And now they need to go back to the drawing board.
510 stacks for Humanoid. We are 41 minutes in. And I mean, I don't even know what there is to analyze. It's all going to come down to execution. How they execute will determine how game one shifts, and oh my goodness, both teams are here to play.
Will it be execution or will it be assassination? G2, that map is so heavily in their favor. You can see them trying to set up for picks on Jun, picks on anybody on Fnatic who is willing to overextend. A minute 45 on Baron. Fnatic refuse to walk up towards that river, knowing what might be lurking anywhere in that water.
We take a breather.
You're not going to get another one, Vedi.
I'm mainly giving it for you, mate. You're the one that needs it. 1 minute 40 till the Dragon. 1 minute 20 till Baron. Both teams return to the line of scrimmage that started this whole game. Vision across the board slowly being invested. You can see on the supports, not many wards left for Mikyx. He needs to go back to base, replenish, but actually, look at the mini-map. Are they looking for a flank? As Fnatic, they've called the bluff. They set their sights on mid lane, 5 members strong.
Inhib up in 30 seconds time. They can just push forward. No exhaust for Mikyx for about a third of its cooldown. Fnatic continue to push in through mid.
No true shot barrage to get rid of Yike's Banshee's Veil either, which means that Fnatic weren't able to try and look for the engage with that Glacial Prison. So G2 re-establish themselves in the base, but now it's Fnatic's turn to try and set up vision, but they have to be so careful. TP wards galore in behind them. But is there really a massive threat on a flank?
I mean, a sneaky Caps can be deadly, even though he struggled this game. He is at 5 items. True Shot Barrage goes down. The Inhib now respawns in mid. You can see both teams basically even in terms of combat gold. Humanoid 18, Oscar the same. 4 items on Razork as well. Basically full builds across the board, apart from people who need those control wards, and of course the supports who never really get to full build anyway. Jun caught out a little bit, he'll back away still. Now, actually, no vision behind Fnatic apart from that 1 ward in the mid lane. Caps is pushing up top. Fnatic begin to back away. Is it Drake? Is it Baron? Which do you prefer?
That 1 ward in mid lane. Oh. Jun, his base is interrupted. A single play Mikyx, he's the one in danger.
You can always just jump out of the back of the pit or dance to Yike.
Caps is getting so much work done on that top side though, just slowly but surely creeping that wave ever closer to the inhibitor. Broken Blade has moved over. He's going to solo the Dragon. This is the play that we talked about before, but now Fnatic, they're going.
Immediately they dive in onto Mikyx. He can dash away. Mom comes down and doesn't really connect in a way that it's done before in this game. Caps continue to push in top. The Drake will be secured. You can't beat Rend. G2 take everything off the map. Fnatic looked for a fight, but they couldn't find it.
Caps just continues to be a nuisance. Dagda was talking about it earlier. He's going to TP away to safety, concerned about the collapse. But G2 forcing indecision in Fnatic, splitting their focus. Something that this team knows all too well. Caps knows how to be a nuisance in a side lane.
Wait a second.
He saves it.
Just barely. Oscar keeps the inhibitor alive. But that gives the soul over to G2. 7 dragons have fallen this game. And now the Elder, 5 minutes away.
You know that there is no TP on Caps though, so do Fnatic try and do something similar, push out bot. Caps is showing on this bot wave, but Fnatic not really in a position to look for the engage as Caps is showing. G2 pulling back away from those engage tools of Fnatic.
5 minutes short of the longest game we've had in season finals this year as well. That was G2 versus MDK, game 3. 5 minutes away from an Elder. Will the game be decided before that? Jun looking for Caps in the bot side, can't find him. He backs away. Still has that flash, has that safety. A trigger to pull if he's in danger. G2 now, though, controlling the area around the Baron. No vision for Fnatic. BB walks over the Scuttle Crab, though, and will give Fnatic the knowledge this is happening. Jun on his way up. They don't know where Caps is. Fnatic looking for that flank position. Oscar has the flash, has the blast cone. He'll go in! The Baron secured. Huntsutter cleanse flashes away. Oscar puts a stopwatch to see if he can get out of this one. But I think the plants are going to do the work. They will! Yike finds his man. G2 find the Baron. And perhaps they found enough to close out this game.
Han survives the burst. He has to use all his summoner spells to get away from it, but they're able to do it. On top of that, they kill Oscar, and with the Baron buff and 45 seconds left on Oscar, G2 have their sights set on the Nexus.
It was a dance across the rift. G2 and Fnatic holding hands, swaying back and forth, but Fnatic, they stumble, they couldn't keep pace, and G2 now a Baron buff will start that siege in towards the mid lane. Once more, Caps moving up towards that top side, sharing the love across all those minion lines.
Caps doesn't have TP. He's pushing out that top wave. This could be a window where Fnatic try to force a fight. The Baron buff providing that support for minions. This is a scary situation for G2. Their resources are spread very thin. Razork is fishing.
No TP ward behind G2 right now. Only in the top side really for Oscarinin when he respawns in 15 seconds. He's going to match Caps in the top lane. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Broken Blade trying to sink these waves. No wave in bot for now. Means that G2 only have 2 prongs to this trident. A bident, if you will. Fnatic, though, clear out top. Caps has to back away. Mikyx dashes across the wall, and Fnatic will get the wave in mid as well. These waves not perfectly synced from G2 makes it a little easier for Fnatic to mount this defense.
Caps continue to push on this top side. 3 members of G2 on the bottom half. I don't think Humanoid, can he hold against Caps here? It's going to be so much damage, actually, if Humanoid can get a couple of pop shots. Rapid fire cannon just to clear the way.
Look at the damage from Broken Blade with that demolish, though. And Caps uses the fact that Humanoid paths towards mid to break it open. The waves now crashing at the same time allows G2 this trident approach. Jun's still fishing, looking for something, but he just can't find purchase on G2. They're too slippery. The second inhibitor, the target for Caps.
Already created the back door, and now they've created the side door as well. G2 en masse, moving in, choking out Fnatic. The TP from Broken Blade. G2 want to end this now.
Jumps in, dashes out, hit with the Glacial Prison. Jun takes about half his health from Broken Blade alone. Humanoid trying to deal with Caps up towards the top side, but now he's going to join in with the rest of Fnatic in their final defense. Tip, all the inhibitors are down. The back door, the front door, all the windows blown out. G2 just looking to defenestrate the current occupants of this game now. The Nexus tower's already down, 1 at half, 1 is taking about a 5th. G2 can wait for the next wave, 8 seconds on the Baron though. Perhaps Fnatic can then find a way to defend.
Fnatic are doing their best, but the amount of space that they have is quickly getting smaller and smaller.
Caps, the damage Jun flashes, he misses everything! He tried, and you can't blame him for that, but sometimes in these moments, you have to come up clutch. Fnatic now without a solar flare, without a flash, and they do still have a hope because the wave's still a little while away. Double supers in every one of them, though.
G2 can't afford to let up the pressure. No one sees his angle. Gets good damage onto Caps.
Stranglethorn's down though, Jun goes in, the slicing Maelstrom, base call will pull him out, Noah finds Caps, is that enough? Yike jumped on, he has the Zhonya's and the plants are doing work for him, but Noah finds a double, and now it's the bot lane battling up towards the top side. Razork here with a heroic intervention. Broken Blade able to take Oscarinin home, some still half HP, but Noah is putting the damage down, the Nexus tower! Everything seems to be on G2's side.
Noah is doing his absolute best. With his back against the wall, he makes a hero play to buy some space for Fnatic, but 30 seconds until the Elder. I don't know if it's enough time. The Nexus is exposed, but Fnatic, they're still alive for now.
Noah found Super, and it was enough. Noah finds Caps, and the question is it? Fnatic will hold for the moment. The inhibitors are a long way from being back up, and they have an Elder that's about to spawn. Fnatic, they desperately needed that to go their way, but they just couldn't quite get it.
They're not going to get here in time.
It's G2 with just more available in the tank and more dints in the Fnatic base.
I mean, it's a miracle if you steal this. It's the True Shot Barrage, which is coming in, but if that beats the end, I'll eat my hat. It doesn't. G2 will secure the Elder, all 5 alive to take it. And now Fnatic have to fight for their lives. The longest game of the season finals has arrived, and what a place to have it. Here in Munich, what a game these teams are giving us.
A tense affair. The Elder will be secured, and the Baron is soon to follow. There's nothing but a Nexus left. I don't know if G2 even need it. They can just force the fight now.
I mean, look where
Razork
Humanoid is.
trying to buy space for his mid laner.
Humanoid has flash here, but do you even get to walk away? The answer is an emphatic no. G2 are done with this. They got the record for the longest game, and that's enough for them. No takedown 3, no inhibitors, no Nexus towers stand in their way. Noah, I'm afraid that Angel doesn't have enough to say. G2 in an incredible roller coaster of a game will go 1-0 up.
What do you say after a game like that? This game throughout belonged to both these teams, but it's G2 who just barely managed to scrape that victory after a grueling 50-minute game.
So many moments of hero plays, tiny blunders being punished, and just incredible decision making. Smiles on the faces of G2, but Fnatic gotta be filled with confidence still. They know that they can still win this series and deliver on what is expected to be an incredible final.
Well, we'll see if they can continue the momentum. We'll see if we get 5. I know we want it. We'll be right back after this.
This series is going way too slow.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Laure!
Wait, is he switching lanes?
Red Bull gives you wings.